LaTanya Young is a hairstylist who moonlights as an Uber driver. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a taxi. And she's grateful for an unexpected blessing that she received here recently from one of the people she gave a ride to. Kevin Esch was his name. He was a passenger that Young picked up outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I think is in New Orleans. And LaTanya mentioned that she recently was forced to withdraw from college because of an unpaid student account. She later explained in the article that I came across that every time that I went to go pay the bill, my kids needed something. So I said, well, I guess I'll just wait and take care of that later on. Well, a couple days later, after giving Kevin a ride, she received an email from Georgia State University saying that she was eligible to pick up and sign up for more classes again. And after calling and looking into it, she found out that Kevin had paid her $700 student loan debt. Unexpected blessing. As said, there's something about LaTanya that resonated with me, and we've developed an incredible friendship now, and I'm incredibly proud of what she's done. In fact, he attended her graduation from the university when she graduated with her associate's degree, and she plans to go back for her bachelor's degree in criminal justice because she's looking to become an attorney. Unexpected blessings. That's a pretty good one, isn't it? Find out your student loans are paid for. I'm still paying on them things. They bring joy and gratitude when there's an unexpected blessing. This unexpected gift, in fact, led to something even more valuable, this valuable friendship between LaTanya and Kevin. What if the Lord had an unexpected blessing for you this morning? Maybe you've already received it. What if the Lord had an unexpected miracle for you today? Wouldn't that bring you great joy? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Like LaTanya, Elisha, the prophet, experiences unexpected generosity and hospitality from a woman from Shunammite and her husband. He's traveling, and he has to grapple with how he should respond to their unexpected kindness to him. We find our text in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 8 through 13 to begin with. This is the word of the Lord. One day Elisha went to Shunem, and a well-to-do woman was there who urged him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped there to eat. She said to her husband, I know this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make him a small room on the roof and put a bed in it and a table and a chair and a lamp for him. Then he can stay there whenever he comes to us. One day, when Elisha came, he went up to his room and lay down there. And he said to his servant Gehazi, call the Shunammite. So he called her, and she stood there before him. And Elisha said to him, tell her, you've gone to all this trouble for us. Now what can we do for you? Can we speak on your behalf to the king or the commander of the army? She replied, no, I have a home among my own people. The word of the Lord. This woman is rich. She's a woman of some prominence, of some influence, of some means in this town. And she, notice, takes the initiative to show hospitality to Elisha. She invites him to a meal, and then that becomes a regular practice when he passes through the town, and he'll stop there for a meal. And that was part of the cultural fabric, the cultural norm or expectation to show hospitality in biblical times. But she is doing it with some enthusiasm, to be sure. And then after a time, she discerns that Elisha is a prophet, a man of God, and she wants to do more. We don't know if she's heard about the miracles or heard Elisha teaching. We don't know how she discerned that. Maybe it was a spiritual insight. We don't know. But out of respect for him, she wants to do more, and so she does more. A lot more. In fact, she asked her husband if they can add on an addition to their home. A room for Elisha to stay in. And not only that, but they fully furnished the room. They put everything he would need there, a table and a lamp and a bed for rest and relaxation. It's kind of like a little furnished apartment for him, a bread and breakfast, if you will, for him. He has everything he needs provided for. This is unusually kind and generous. I mean, talk about an unexpected blessing. Elisha shows up and he sees all that's been done for him. This is nothing he asked for. This is unexpected. And Rich herself, she's not looking for any favors or reward. Notice she doesn't say, well, Elisha, now that you've seen everything I've done for you, I have a few favors I'd like to ask of you. No, she says nothing of that kind. This appears to be genuine hospitality and unexpected generosity. Now that still happens, right? Unusual, unexpected kindness like this can be sincere, believe it or not, like this woman. Like the islanders in Acts 28 that David read this morning, who showed unusual kindness to them and furnished everything that they needed when they left. Even though sometimes we can think people have ulterior motives, it still happens. Unexpected kindnesses and generosity. We can sometimes doubt that though, right? For instance, when our preteen or teenage kid comes to us and gives us hugs and kisses, we might think, well, what in the world are they going to ask me for now? Right? There's something behind this here. You don't normally just give us hugs and kisses voluntarily. Or if your boss comes to you and just butters you up with all these compliments and they don't normally ever say any kind word to you, you might start to thinking, oh, what is she going to ask me to do? Does she want me to work overtime this weekend? Right? Or if somebody gives us a gift just because, we might think, okay, well, what are they going to ask in return? But this Shunammite, this woman's motives are pure. In fact, it's made further evident in that she turns down Elisha's offer for a favor. She didn't ask him for anything, and then she turns down his offer. Elisha had not asked her for this and didn't expect it, but he certainly appreciates it, so he wants to return this kindness, this thoughtful gesture, even though she doesn't ask for anything. But she refuses. She refuses. Elisha's taken aback by this gift. He has to find a way to do something for her. A couple of the translations put it, you've gone through all this trouble for us. We want to help you. You've gone far beyond the call of duty and taken care of us. What can we do for you? And he's certainly appreciative. But isn't it also true for us that sometimes it's hard to receive grace? Hard to receive a blessing, especially if it's unexpected. Right? It's easier to be the giver than the receiver, because we feel obligated to do something or give some gift in return, even if that's not the intent of the person who blessed us, as in this case. Right? It may be that we don't want anyone to have anything over us, like somehow that means we're going to owe them a favor down the road, even if they're not asking us for anything right now. We are always blessed to be a blessing to others, but that's something different than trying to pay someone back for a kindness that they've shown to us. But again, nothing of that motive appears to be Elisha's heart here. He genuinely just wants her to be blessed too. And when you're the recipient of this kind of unexpected generosity, think of that. They built an entire room on their house for him. When you're the recipient of that kind of kindness, thank you doesn't cut it. It doesn't seem like it's enough. And he wants to do something. So he makes a suggestion. Notice he suggests that he can bring a word to the king or the army commander, presumably to offer some measure of protection for her and her family. But the woman's content. Notice her response. She's content with the security her family provides. No, my family takes good care of me, she says. With my relatives nearby, I have everything I need. And what it reveals is, church, is that she did not give to get. She didn't give to get a reward. She gave out of the sincerity and the generosity of her heart. she instead used her wealth to bless Elisha. That's possible too. Money is called the root of all kinds of evil, and in Paul's writings to Timothy, and it is. And eagerness to be rich can lead people to go astray from the faith. It does that, but it doesn't have to be so. Paul also writes for those rich in the present age. He says in 1 Timothy 6, 17 through 19, don't set your hope on the uncertainty of riches. Instead, set your hope on God, and instead be rich in good works, ready to share. I thought about Patrick Mahomes, who just got that $503 million contract. I thought, well, maybe he can help us out with the parking lot out here, or the fellowship hall. You got to be ready to share here, Patrick, those who are rich in the present age. But she does this out of sincerity. This woman certainly follows Paul's instruction and wants nothing in return, but Elisha somehow won't let it be. He's not satisfied to do nothing for this Shunammite woman. So he asked Gehazi for some ideas he might have, his servant. Verse 14. What can be done for her? Elisha asked. Gehazi said, well, she has no son, and her husband is old. Then Elisha said, call her. So he called her, and she stood in the doorway, and he said to her, about this time next year, you will hold a son in your arms. No, my lord, she objected. Don't mislead your servant, O man of God. But the woman became pregnant, and the next year, about that same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisha had told her. Gehazi's statement is rather amazing if you think about it a little bit. He seems to suggest and believe that this couple who's without a child, that situation can somehow change. But how? The options married couples have nowadays are centuries away. Those aren't options for them. And it's specifically stated that her husband is old. How's this going to happen? But notice Elisha instantly takes Gehazi's suggestion and says, that's it. That's what we're going to do for this woman. And he says to this woman, you're going to have a son. Now, how can he say that? This is a promise of a son. How can he say that? This is a prophetic word from the Lord. Only the Lord, you see, can bring and can give life. Have you noticed the graphic here? This is what God can do. You see the background, the dry, cracked ground, but do you see the life of the flower in the midst of it? That's what God can do. Bring life when there is no life. That's what he is going to do for this woman, Elisha announces. And from her response, it's obvious that she wants a baby and that she's trying to have a baby, but to no avail. In fact, the pain of all this comes out in her reply. Oh, holy man, don't play games with me, teasing me with such fantasies. Don't tell me that, oh man of God. Don't deceive me and get my hopes up like that, because I've had my hopes up like that for a long time. In fact, I've almost given up hope of having a child. And now you're going to tell me I'm going to have a child? Don't tell me that. She doesn't want to be disappointed. She doesn't want to believe that. You see, being rich, she likely has anything money can buy. But money can only go so far when it comes to matters of the heart. And this is the deepest desire of her heart that comes out. This desire for a child, and from her response, that this obviously touches this deep pain and almost past hope in her heart. She wants this to be true, but she doesn't want to be disappointed. She wants a child, perhaps had given up hope of ever having one, but now she's been given this birth announcement in advance. Next year, at this time, you're going to have a child, and needless to say, that is unexpected. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't do this to get something. This is a blessing of the Lord's grace. Actually, both Elisha and the woman are given gifts they didn't expect and couldn't provide for themselves. In the woman's case, it's a child. And notice Elisha also adds that the child will be a son. That is, the family name will be carried on. That is, the inheritance will be passed on, although the daughters could also inherit the land if there were no sons. But probably most importantly and most meaningfully, to have a child would dismantle the shame that she carried in that culture. Women without children in that day were shamed. They felt shame. They carried shame with them. And even though nothing is said about her being barren, the woman still got the blame, even if it was the husband's fault. So she trembles. That's why she's so hesitant. She trembles in reservation. She doesn't want to be disappointed after hoping for so long. But notice the text says, she does have this joy of holding her own son in her arms. That promised son arrives in due time. And this miracle of life swallows up all those past unmet expectations. All that shame, all that unmet hope that she carried in her arms, all that pain that she had carried for so long, all of that is swallowed up by this promised son that she gets to hold in her arms. And it ends up being something much more valuable than anything money could buy her. She has anything like that. This is something she couldn't do for herself. This was an unexpected blessing from the hand of the Lord. The child. Her unusual kindness toward Elisha is met with unexpected grace, the gift of a son, and this child is an unexpected gift from the Lord. You know, in this sermon series, we began with the idea of expecting a miracle, that God is the God of miracles and that nothing's too difficult for him, that we believe that God can and does do miracles even today. Nothing's too hard for him. He acts according to his promise. He can make a way where there is no way. He can speak into existence of things that are not. He can do what seems impossible for us. That's why no one's a lost cause. That's why no situation is impossible for God. And then later on in the sermon series, we came across Elijah's encounter with the Lord on Mount Horeb in 1 Kings 19 that tempered this, or gave us the realization that God is present in the everyday too, not just in the extraordinary. That God does do the extraordinary and the spectacular and the miraculous, but he's just as present in the silence. He's just as present in the everyday of our ordinariness of our lives. The go to work, get up, eat breakfast, eat lunch, go back to sleep of our lives. He's just as present then as he is in the miraculous answer to prayer. And now from our text this morning, we can add that the Lord can also break into our lives in unexpected ways and in unexpected times to give us unexpected blessings and to do unexpected miracles. Something that might not even have been on our radar, God does. God does that for this woman. God does that for Elisha. And I wish I could promise you, I can't promise you that God will grant you an unexpected blessing or miracle this week. But I also would say, don't rule it out. Because it's his good pleasure to bless his people. That thought came to mind as my beautiful wife Beth and I have been watching this TV series called The Chosen. It's about Jesus and his disciples. And it's a TV show that depicts and goes through the miracles of Jesus and also just his ministry in general, and allows you to see Jesus through the eyes of those who know him. Knew him at that time. And what impressed me the most was Jesus' joy when he saw the reaction of the people to his miracles. There was delight in his eyes when Peter and James and John and Andrew saw the miraculous catch of fish and were trying to heave it into the boat. There's delight and laughter on his face when that happens. And And to those who bring their paralyzed friend and lower him through the roof to be healed, he says with a smile, your faith is beautiful. And then the episode concerning the wedding in Cana and the miracle of turning water into wine, Jesus is shown dancing and laughing with all the wedding guests. And this episode also brings out that shame would have been brought on the family when the wine ran out. But when he turned the water into wine, it was the best of wine, and it actually brought honor to the family and much joy to those celebrating at the wedding feast. You see, miracles are grace gifts to us, even if they come unexpected, but always as a gift. That's why it brings joy, because we know we had nothing to do with it. This was a gift from his hand. And its expression, these miracles are an expression of the Lord's joy to bless us and to give us joy. So I wouldn't rule out an unexpected blessing or miracle this week, because it's his good pleasure to bless his people. The Lord is also the giver of life and breath that we breathe, and of course, he's already blessed us immeasurably in the Son, whose birth was also a miracle, whose birth is also foreshadowed by this miracle. This promised son given to the Shunammite woman in due time points ahead to Jesus, Galatians 4:4-5. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law, so that we might receive adoption as children. We didn't ask God to do that. We didn't even know we needed to ask God to do this, and only God could do that. To make it possible to be part of his family, to receive him and believe in his name, to be given the power to become children of God. And so his love magnified on the cross swallows up all our guilt and shame, swallows up all our sin, all our transgression, everything that we've done wrong. And he, and only he, can fulfill the deepest desires of our hearts, to be loved and to belong and to be known and to be led in his ways and to walk with him in relationship. Only he can fulfill those deepest desires of our hearts. So perhaps even this morning there's someone here who will watch on the video later on who didn't expect that their life could be turned around. Because that's what happens when we encounter Jesus Christ, our living Lord, and say yes to follow after him. Perhaps there will be somebody who will know that it's his good pleasure to have mercy upon them, to bring about this new beginning. And I would invite you, if that's you this morning, to cry out to Jesus, have mercy on me, a sinner, to ask for the grace to walk with him daily and learn the way of the cross. Before we sing our hymn of invitation, I would invite the musicians to come. I became aware that some of us might not have expected a blessing when we came here this morning, let alone a miracle. Yes, Sunday school will be good. Yes, we'll sing some good songs, and maybe the sermon will even be good and not put me to sleep, right? But maybe there's somebody here that didn't expect a blessing. But I hope, and my prayer was that you would already have been receiving blessings all along this morning. But just to make sure, I prayed, Lord, what could I do to give the congregation an unexpected blessing? And he brought to my mind is something that I've done a couple times, and that is to write each of you a note of encouragement. And you know what happened as I did this? I received the blessing of remembering how much of a blessing you are to me and my family. You see, I received the unexpected blessing as I went through the scriptures and trying to find something that would speak to me about you. Those scriptures spoke to me as well. So I pray that these notes will be an unexpected blessing for you. And as we sing this hymn is a song of grateful praise to God. I want you to pay attention to the words. They're so great, especially the second, third, and fourth verses. It just outlines all these blessings the Lord has already given to us. But just the confidence to know that God's giving is never done. He just keeps giving and giving and giving. And sometimes in ways we didn't even expect. I invite you to stand. Let's sing this song.